Hello and welcome to episode number 31 of the Hafey Digital Podcast, a show for creators, makers, and doers, where my goal is to help you make to the max. My name is Ryan Hafey, and in this episode, we have a special guest. It's this guy. Let's get into the show. Clap track, which you can't hear because you're not wearing the cans. Welcome to the show, everybody. While you're here, be sure to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and follow me on social media at Ryan Hafey on Instagram and Twitter. And yes, we have a special guest. This is Dan Hafey, aka my father.
It's a senior day here.
We're already getting started. All right. So last week, a couple bits of housekeeping before we start our chat. So last week we did the sound of the week again. I forgot to mention what it was. This was the sound of the week in case you missed it. Again, you can't hear that because you're not wearing cans. But I forgot to reveal what that was. And that sound is the sound of this guy right here, the lens closing. So when you turn this thing off, that's the sound it makes. So this week the sound was... So leave a comment if you think you know what that is, and I'll reveal it at the end of the episode. What else? Beverages. So we're not doing the sparkling water today. My dad is in town from Central Illinois, so that calls for some alcoholic libations. I am drinking a red wine, a Merlot. Dad, what are you enjoying?
And I'm a rum and tonic fan. You put a little bit of lime in there. It's a good summer drink.
There we go. Awesome. Well... one quick addition too, by the way, we are streaming to multiple platforms once again, like we did last week, with the addition though this week of Twitch. So I guess I'm getting started there. So we are live on Facebook, Twitter via Periscope, Twitch, YouTube, and I think that was it. Yeah, and LinkedIn, but I don't think LinkedIn's running. So, oh, you know what I forgot to do? Here we go. I got to open the chat in case anyone wants to chime in. Let's see. Where'd it go? There's the restream chat. Awesome. So, here we are. Dad, thanks for joining me. I had to basically beg you to do this. It took some coaxing. I tried to get you in on the thumbnail, but you took too long, so I just used myself twice.
Blurred me out. Well, blurred him out. Now, I came all the way from Illinois for this.
Yes, you did. Just for this.
Yeah.
You're flying home tonight, I hear.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And he didn't pay for any of it. So, yeah. I hope this pans out because my career is,
Yes. Do me a little favor. Let's get a little cozier together. Scoot in a little bit closer to the mic because you're a little airy. You would know that if you were wearing the cans, but you're not.
No.
So, let's just have kind of an unfiltered chat and talk about things. And I figured a good place to start. Out of everyone, you're probably the best suited to answer this question, which is, why am I the way that I am?
It's my fault. I did it. No, I'd like to think that there's some of you or me and you, and there is.
I would agree.
We've talked about a few things that we both kind of do. We're a little bit OCD at times. We embrace change. We like to experiment, try new things. If you look at all the toys that Ryan has around here, I have as many in my studio, which is part of a small company called QCOM Media.
His aren't as cool, but
they're cool.
We had a little debate about our drones that we had yesterday. What are you flying these days?
I'm flying a Phantom 4 Pro.
When was that released?
It doesn't matter when it was released. It was ahead of its time. It still does excellent photography for me and video.
It does.
And it does. And head to head, he has a very nice drone. I wouldn't buy it, but no, it's good. It's very good. Shot some nice footage last night. Got the fireworks. I don't know if anybody saw that, but that was really cool.
Head over to my Instagram, check that out.
Yeah. So but the next step is to go into the Inspire, and because I am just a few years older than him, 40 42, 43. I mean, I've had a rough life, which
He was very young when he had me. Very young.
That's right. Yeah, I was a very stupid teen at the time. But all this is a bunch of crap, so don't believe any of it. But at any rate, I don't know. I think that, but you're very much your own person.
Right.
Getting back to the original question.
Sure.
And he's done a fantastic job, and I'm very proud of him.
Well, thank you. Well, as I've mentioned you a couple times, as I told you earlier, I've mentioned you a few times on the podcast. I think, I figured you'd have a lot to say about, especially the audio setup, given your history. Right now, we're just using. Well, here, let's talk about the setup a little bit. So, obviously, this studio is not set up to have multiple people on the podcast. It's usually, as you all know, just a solo thing. But so I had to move some things around. I got the light angled out a little bit, turned up a little bit. Instead of, because this thing is a pain in the ass to move, this camera over here, which is the usual, the A6500, which is the camera I usually use for my live streams. And that friction arm is only going to extend out that much, only so much. So I decided to pull out the A7 III, which has the 16 to 35 millimeter lens on it. And then my normal boom arm, which is up here, doesn't quite extend out this far, so I just got this stand. And because this is the only microphone, well, not the only microphone that I own, but only condenser microphone that I own, I figure we could probably just pull it off.
I'm working on him to change this one. It's good. Mm-hmm. It's good, but...
And so, yeah, what were we talking about before that? Oh, yeah.
Audio.
So yeah, you were making radio commercials since as long as I can remember, using the reel-to-reel setup. In fact, just recently changed my Instagram and Twitter profile picture to a childhood photo, which kind of shows me at a similar setup like this with the boom arm and the microphone and the cans on. And that was your setup. Had the keyboard there. You could see up in the top corner, there's the reel-to-reel in there. So I don't know if we've ever really talked about it, but like what was your kind of introduction into audio engineering and radio?
And maybe a little background information might be helpful too.
Absolutely.
So I went into the radio business doing an overnight show in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania in the 70s.
Okay.
And I had an interest in radio for a long time. Always kind of admired the guys in the local area where I grew up in Pennsylvania that were on the radio, and I thought that was so cool. So finally, when I got on the radio after doing some campus radio work in college, I was pretty bad, but overnights didn't matter. And at that time, and again, I don't know the age breadth of your audience, but at that time...
There's only 5 of them. So
five? Okay, well, then we'll assume you're a little younger. We played 45s. That was the disc size vinyl that we played. We had big platters that we played the records on, and once they get scratched up enough from being used, then we replace them, and that was our music. A lot of our programs were on actual reel-to-reel tape, and then we graduated into what we call carts. They looked a lot like an 8-track, and they carried one commercial on them or a whole song. Then we started transitioning to that. And really, we didn't get into computers until probably sometime in the early 90s. And by that time, I was off the air. So I not only was on the air for radio, but I was in sales, management, and marketing, outdoor advertising.
Yes.
So I've kind of run the gamut. And commercials were something I enjoyed doing. So that's when QCOM came about, and that's all run out of a studio in my house. And I've started graduating into video thanks to this guy. What do I do full time? Not that. I'm a registered nurse, an occupational health manager now, after a few years in emergency and surgery.
Worked in advertising and audio for how many years, and then all of a sudden he's like, I feel like being a nurse, and he just went back to be a nurse.
So things have changed, but eventually I'm going to transition completely into that type of work. I currently write a medical newsletter for the company that I subcontract with, and so a little bit of everything, but it all kind of blends. And anyway, so all that background got me very interested in doing things and building a home studio, which the first pass was really a lot of smart buys on eBay and other places. I've since moved to 500 series processors. I don't have a lot of them. There's no need for them. I do a lot of post-production. And the one thing I'd say about audio that I think people who are really into videography forget is that's a huge component of how that video's going to be received. Mm-hmm. Now, granted, some videos don't need any other than music. Mm-hmm. But in cases, and you go to movies, they pay an awful lot of attention to the effects and the sound and everything, and there's a reason for that. And so that interests me very much. So in the video that I do that calls for audio, I want to make sure that it's high quality.
My first job was actually, I was a board technician, which was the official title. I worked for Kelly Communications, which was the radio station, or I guess radio station
where
network.
I worked.
Where he worked at the time. And really that just consisted of me pressing a lot of buttons on a big audio board and trying to get free sodas out of the soda machine. I told you about that, right?
Yeah.
It was a very boring job. We would sit there and I would listen to sports broadcasts on AM radio. I don't remember what the station was, but listen to sports broadcasts, and I would play the commercials. I would play the station IDs. That was pretty much it, I think. Like, it was kind of the gist of it.
Yeah, but it was a good introduction for you. And what's really funny about that is everybody who's ever been in radio has these stories, and I could go on for a half hour on that. And I'm sure you had a couple along the way too that you, yeah.
Well, to the story about trying to steal sodas, oftentimes I would go in there and not bring any snacks or anything to drink, and there was a soda machine in there, and if I wouldn't have anything to drink, I would take apart my sock. I told you all the details about this, yeah? No. So I would just sit there. You can't really see it, but I would take out the stretchy string within my sock.
Okay.
And I would have at least one quarter, and then I would tape it to the quarter, and I would try to very carefully dip the quarter down the chute of the soda machine and pull it back out. It worked one time, and I think all that happened was when I went to get change, it just gave me an extra quarter out.
Oh. That time it was what, 50 cents? So you...
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
So that's, yeah.
Okay, I'll give you one first-time radio story, which I think you've heard.
Okay.
This was the overnight shift that I worked at in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, and I had only been working for 2-3 weeks. And of course...
Hold on. Wait, hang on.
Oh.
Okay. I just wanted to get my laugh track ready. In case
okay. Thank you. So I'm in playing a song called, which you may have never heard of, Heartbeat, It's a Love Beat by the DeFranco family, okay? Very, what are they called? It was a Kid Rock song or whatever. Anyway, so this thing's rolling, and I thought, I want to go out and get a candy bar. Well, the way the lobby was set up is you walked out, but the lobby had a lock, and we didn't have a key for it. So the idea was that you'd go out, make sure the door was propped open. You'd go into this little area where the machine was, and yes, these are the old candy machines where you pull them out. So I pop my money in, I pull it out, and I hear this sound, and I turn around to see the trash can or whatever that I had set up against the door moving out of the way, and as I reached for the door, it closed. There was a monitor in the lobby area, so I could hear what was going on the radio. Well, of course, at the end of a record, when the record, comes to its end, all you hear is
mm-hmm.
And there I was, locked out of the radio station. I looked at the phones. They were lighting up. Of course, people calling, what's going on? I couldn't answer them. Ran outside and went in, and I was 20 at the time, ran into a bar to get a phone. And at that time, we didn't have cells. And so I finally made a call to the property manager, and he seemed very irritated. But he came down and let me in. As the DeFranco family, for close to 20 minutes,
Ooh.
I kept my job, though.
Wow. All right. I remember I figured out how to play songs. Like, I obviously they didn't tell me how to, use the microphones and play my own audio there, but I remember just kind of poking around with the equipment and I had a CD for a metal band that I listened to back in the day, and I figured it out. So I called. Remember my buddy Brett? I was like, Brett, tune into whatever AM radio station it was. Like, tune in right now. He's like, wow, what's going on? I said, just do it. So I, for maybe 3 seconds, while the radio was going, just blared this metal music, and then potted it down, and Brett just busts out laughing. So that was funny. Do you remember any of like your? Because you were on the air for a while. Didn't you do like some sort of auction show or something? What was that?
Well, I had gotten off full-time on the air, and this is after I left outdoor, which is billboards. And my wife and I decided to, your mother decided to stay in the area we lived in, which we still live in now in Illinois. So we all parted company, and I became manager of a radio station just outside of Peoria that was an all-talk station. And we ended up keeping a program called, I think it was Tradio, or was it?
No.
I forget the name of it. But basically, for a half hour, you would sell different items that were procured from various merchants in the area. And it was kind of a, cheapo little show, but it actually made pretty good money for the station. And I had more fun doing that show because we used to screw with things all the time. And there were some items that you just went, who would want this? But you had to kind of sell it, but at the same time, sort of snicker about it.
Yeah. Well, I remember, because I used to call you at work occasionally when I was a kid. And there was one time, I remember specifically calling in and saying, hi, can I talk to Dan Hafey? And whoever answered the phone, I guess, was the person screening the calls for the show. And then they put me in on the show. And then I just hear your voice like, you're on with Dan and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
What's your question? And I just hung up the phone.
Yeah.
But do you remember any like old calls or any scripted whatevers that you would do in radio? Because if you've grown up in Central Illinois, you've undoubtedly heard a radio commercial from my dad, and it was probably what was the dealership that used to do?
Oh,
Dodge,
Barker GMC Cadillac.
Barker GMC.
But I've actually done commercials for, I used to do commercials for a food chain down in the southeast called Wilson's. And one time I was traveling to South Carolina, and it was just weird because I hadn't done, my last voiceover for them was a couple months before. And as I'm driving along, oh, that's me. So it's kind of fun. But I've done work for companies as big as Caterpillar. You may be familiar with that. PayPal. I've done some work for them.
So give us some lines. Give us some of your radio voice. Get in nice and close.
I would do that, but it must be the Las Vegas air. I'm hoarse right now.
Oh, man, whatever.
Or it could be the captain, but we'll do another one sometime on how to work a mic.
Okay.
Oh, I've done. I forgot. I did all those books online too. The LEED, LED. It's an environmental building code thing, and I've done some stuff for the Army for doing their testing. You didn't know about that, yeah?
You did the like the when you call
weird stuff you get sometimes.
When didn't you do a couple where you would call and be like, thanks for calling?
Oh yeah,
press 1.
Yeah, the on holds. Actually, that was fairly profitable, and I still do some. Companies that want something, the obnoxious stuff you hear when you're on hold. What I try to do is make it more interesting. There's more sound effects. There's more variation. Sometimes some interesting facts, because nobody likes to be, every 5 minutes, we really appreciate your call and we'll be with you in just a minute. And you're going, yeah, they don't care less. So it's a little more entertaining. And,
By the way, it's funny how everything comes full circle in that I remember growing up and, there were portions throughout most of the days when everyone in the house had to be quiet because Dad had to record something. So you'd hear Barker GMC. Hey, quiet, quiet.
Yeah.
Come on, guys. Yeah.
I still do that. Even without the kids in the house. Either the dog or the cats or somebody's making noise. But it works and it's enjoyable. But I can. with the business right now, I control what I need to do because sometimes in the medical field it gets kind of busy.
Of course. So I want to talk about something that we were talking about briefly just before we got on, and you had some concerns about my framing here, and I'd like to explore that a little bit.
Do you want me to fix it now?
No, because, I mean, well, yeah, you know what? Here, do this. Just unscrew that, and then, you can kind of lift it up
All right.
and get it to the level
Now,
where you think
my
is...
thinking on this, can you hear me?
Yeah,
Can you hear me? Yeah, my
unfortunately,
thinking on
yes.
this is you need something with a little height.
Nope.
Wrong one?
Unscrew that one,
Oh,
and
yeah.
then you can lift the whole...
Oh, hell yeah.
That way you can put it down correctly.
Okay. So that's probably about where we want to be. How are we doing? I can't even see what I just want a little height. Yeah, there.
That's what you want.
Well,
Well,
I don't know. I'm looking. I can't see it.
oh, jeez, now I gotta fix it. Okay,
Yeah.
it's all lopsided now, and it's up high. Like we have to look up, and apparently
Well, no, you raise your head, like this.
you have to. You want to look up at things.
So call in at 555-1212. If you like the way this is framed, we will do it every time, even when I'm not here, and you can thank me later.
This is what happens at every single drive-thru we go to, by the way. All right, so I'm gonna bring this down where it's supposed to be, and I apologize because this means that pretty much for the remainder, we're gonna have to. It's gonna be lopsided now. See, now it's too low. What did you do?
Scrunching down. I told you it was too low.
No, hold on. Wait. Let's see. It's a little. God dang it. We shouldn't have done this. We should not.
Well,
have
you
done
told
this.
me to move it to show people what it looked
I
like.
know. It was a poor judgment on my part.
It's all right. Anyway, so this is what happens when you have a son and dad kind of thing. It probably doesn't work. Most of you have tuned out by now, but those who have stayed, we appreciate it.
My dad's the kind of person that takes selfies that.
All right, we don't have to drag dirty laundry around.
that look like that. Let's see. with all that headspace up there. I see. My dad's a little bit late to the game when it comes to the video stuff, so I kind of have to, teach him a couple things every now and then and kind of work him into shape.
All right, I will say, in fairness, he has taught me a lot. And, at some point as a father, you kind of have, as his mother told me one time, she said, you had your day, now he's having his. And that's right, because there are a lot of things that he's introduced me to that, I'm learning about, more from the video side. But at times, I think I can still teach you a few things for the audio. And I did do an audio for you. Remember that?
Yes.
I forgot about that for one of the fights.
Yeah, actually for the boxing.
Paid me well too. Man, made it 0.
We did. It was a test run, and we never had him back. Which tells you something.
Right. It really was well received.
But we did a promo video, and you did the voiceover for it, and it turned out really good.
Thank you.
So, no, but yes,
and your video was great.
Thank you. In all seriousness, yes, you have taught me a lot, and I mean, I did some audio stuff in college, and as I've talked about here plenty of times, where we used to, me and some friends would do rap songs and things like that. And I would make the beats and produce the audio, and I mean all that kind of comes from you.
There's an old line which you may or may not have heard. That's what is radio? Well, radio is theater of the mind. Well, of course we have plenty of other delivery systems for communications. It's a great one. But when you think about that really elevates audio to a different level, because the theater of the mind means if you are able to create an image in someone's head of what's going on without any visuals whatsoever, you can imagine what you can do with sound if you do it properly. If you have never done it, sometime pull up an old radio show from back in the 30s, 40s, whatever, and listen to it, and just close your eyes and listen. And if you don't get visual pictures and
Introducing
words,
Ovaltine.
yeah, you'll get that too. Ovaltine is great for the body, but I think you enjoy it.
Yeah,
It's a lot of fun.
I agree. So, how you enjoying your time out here?
I am. The hospitality is great. The beds are a little small, but we're sleeping in kids' beds, and I can't complain.
That's right.
We love to get out here in all seriousness and see the family, see the dogs. New dog.
Yes, Tum Tum.
Yep.
You all are familiar with Tum Tum.
I was going to say, I'm sure he's been featured.
Yes, he has for sure. I don't know. What else do you want to talk about?
I don't know.
We invited my mom to be on the show.
Oh, sure, yeah.
My mom's she's a very nice lady, but not one for being on camera very often. So
well, neither am I. So I wasn't thrilled about this either, but I appreciate it.
You're having fun.
I'm having fun. This is good.
It's a good time.
This is good.
I'm sure this will be, at least amongst my top 10 podcasts.
Well, maybe today. Next week, my understanding is he's bringing in a pole dancer. I don't know the details of it, but you might want to tune in.
That may or may not be true.
That's true, but face it, you couldn't look. Why am I here? Because you couldn't get De Niro or I don't know.
I haven't used this yet.
Oh, there we go.
That's a laugh track.
Yeah, well, that wasn't that.
They're
funny.
all laughing at you for that one. They're still laughing. Hold on. That's a long sound.
Is it a long track? That wasn't that funny.
No, it wasn't. But they thought it was.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good. Thank you.
All right. It did get hot in here, though, huh?
Yeah, it took some time. We do have air conditioning in the house, but this is kind of a penny pincher. I mean, he spends money on the equipment, but certain things have to take a back seat, and a cool room is one of those things that's sacrificed. So if you start to see beads of sweat, that's why.
See, he's no, that's not. I turned it down to in Vegas. First of all, just address the penny pinching thing. In the summer, a Vegas energy bill will be like $300. Number one. Number two, I turned the AC down to 69 degrees for this.
You did?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Well, okay.
So,
I stand corrected.
But it's still hot in here because we've got a computer and a light and everything like that. So yeah, it's a little warm. So, but because it's so warm, I think let's go ahead and end it.
You want to call it a day?
But before we do,
Yes.
because I forgot last week, I'm not going to forget this week. We have to reveal the sound of the week, which again was. You can't hear that because you're not wearing the cans.
I know.
One more time. Again, just and what it was this. This is your sound of the week. See, the sound of the week is I didn't really explain this to you.
No, I think I know what it is.
Well,
but
no.
Of course, all of you are saying, "Oh my gosh, I use this all the time, especially when my bowels are not doing too well, because this looks a little like an enema ball." But
for someone who's in video, you should know what this is.
No,
but anyway, no, I meant the sound of the week. I didn't explain that. So the goal is each week,
followed by
each week, I will feature a new sound that comes from some sort of gear related device. And this is a very common video device, often used to clean out the sensors of mirrorless cameras. And that is your sound of the week. So hey, if you're still
wait a minute. What do they win?
They don't win anything.
A brand new car and a trip to Honolulu.
No, you don't win anything. You just the satisfaction of having gotten it right. So anyway, if you are still here with me, if you haven't done so already, please click that subscribe button and follow me on social media at Ryan Hafey on Instagram and Twitter. What's the rest of my script? And with that, I'm going to call this one done. So keep on creating, making, and doing, and we will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.